Salam. Hanimah.
Ya.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. A very good morning to everyone. Okay, so before we start our lecture today, so I would like to remind everyone, so please mark your attendance through Putra Blast. Please mark your attendance through Putra Blast. So if anybody can recall where did we stop last time? We done on literature review, right? Dan ke tak lagi untuk literature review? Dah. Literature review dah. Kita dah masuk on objective, right? Statement of problem, objective and hypothesis, right? Betul
Betul.
Good. Okay, so this week lab session, so for lab 1 I thought they are they are well informed, but for lab 2, because I thought I forgot to inform last week regarding the referencing style. Okay, so you already have your topic. We already completed the discussion on the topic last week, and then this week we are going to so lab 2 lab 2 kita punya ni pagi kan, Khamis For lab 2 ni probably we have to postpone our lab this week because as all of you know that the department organizing is currently organizing a conference, so probably I involved on the day Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. So probably we have to postpone, but for tomorrow pun tak boleh lah kot. So we are not going to have the lab session this week lah. I'm truly sorry for that because I involved in the conference as a conference organizer, so I cannot attend the lab session. So we proceed next week. If we need if let's say we need extra time for our lab, then we will proceed. We will find another time lah. Boleh tak?
Doctor,
Yes.
can I ask about individual assignment?
Yes.
Kita yang tajuk tu semua kena tunggu doktor approve dekat dalam Dropbox dulu ke ataupun kita orang dah boleh proceed?
Oh, supposedly I check first. Okay, supposedly I check first. I try to proceed within this week. Just give me a few this week time lah. At least this week I will check, and then I will let you know lah. I will inform in group later on. Okay, I'm truly sorry because this few week quite occupied, so memang tak sempat. But inshallah I will proceed this week, inshallah. So regarding my question just now, is it okay? If let's say in the future we need extra class, then we will arrange another one lah. So because this week I'm truly sorry because I involved in the program, so I couldn't attend the class lah. But for lab 2 later on when we proceed with our lab session later on, hopefully you may get more information from lab 1. But for next week, please find groups to prepare presentation on referencing style. Okay, so please get more information from lab 1. Okay, the brief, the detailed instructions I have provided to lab 1 last week. I forgot to share the same thing with all of you. Okay. Okay, so this week we are going to cover with statement of problem, objective and hypothesis. Okay, so this is the LO, the learning outcome for today's session. So we are going to cover this topic within 2 weeks. So inshallah, this week and next week. Okay, so at the end of the session, students are able to define, identify and write research statement of problem. Okay, and then define, identify and write research objective, develop research hypothesis, and differentiate between conceptual and operational definition of terms. Okay, so this week we are going to cover this thing lah. Okay, so this thing I thought we already done, but in general, how you can identify the research opportunity. Okay, so these are the ways that can help you to discover your research area. Okay, even though I thought most of the groups already determine their research area. So however, these are the if let's say in the future you are interested to find another area that you to proceed with your research, then these are the ways that you can discover. Okay, the first one at your workplace. So if let's say you are working in any organization, then if let's say you see any issues or any phenomena that attract your interest to further discover or understand on the situation, then you can proceed in the area. Then the second one is based on institution. Okay, because sometimes when you are working, for example, under certain NGO and so on, so the institution already direct you to certain area. Okay, so NGO probably more on issues related to NGO lah. Okay, and then based on personal experience. So this one probably regarding either issues related to workplace or issues related to any issues related to family, home, and so on. Okay, and then from literature. Okay, so if let's say you do not have any ideas, then you can go through the literature, you do some reading, do some background checking, and then probably you can get the idea lah on what you are going to proceed. Okay, and then next one, desire to replicate the work of other researchers in an attempt to better understand or explain a phenomenon. So the replicate ni, it means that it's not duplicate, it is replicate. Means that if let's say you go through the literature, there is one study that you think very interesting that has been conducted by other researcher, probably from another country, then you are interested to know, okay, what are the findings of the similar study if let's say it's being conducted within the group of interest that you want to do. Okay, kalau let's say you jumpa satu kajian yang menarik yang dijalankan oleh penyelidik lain di tempat lain melibatkan populasi or sampel lain, okay, then you are interested to know about the finding if let's say it is applied to your population, okay, your targeted population. So then you replicate. Replicate ni means that you follow exactly the procedures that have been provided by the author, by the previous scholar. You ikut sebiji-sebiji. Okay, it just the differences probably in terms of the sample or the population. Sebab dia buat populasi dekat tempat dia, but maybe the author ni, the early author ni, they use teachers but in their country or in their state. But you may follow, you may use teacher but in our own state. Okay, in our own country. But in terms of procedure, method, okay, and then the research design, you follow exactly the same. Itu maksud replicate. But you do not copy and paste, do not copy and paste, but you replicate the method, the theory, the method, okay, and then but it just your setting je, follow your own setting, okay. Ini maksud replicate. Okay, so after you identify your research area, again, and then the next step within your proposal is you need to prepare your background of the study. Okay, so the background of study is basically a genesis of the problem, the gene of the problem, the origin of the problem. Okay, it provides general picture on what currently happening that lead to the studied issue. Okay, so inilah the content that you should include within your background of the study. You should highlight what are the general issue, okay, what are general situation that currently happening related to your area. Okay, for example, you are interested to further research on turnover among private organization, for example. So first, probably you want to highlight why is it so? What are the contributions of private sector towards Malaysia economy? For example, highlight that situation first. Okay, and then later on, you slowly focus on the issue of turnover among employees within the private sector, which is it can influence the productivity of the organization within the private sector. Kan? So the contribution of private sector dulu. So then kita nampak apa peranannya. What are the contribution? Why the private sector is so significant? Okay, towards the country economy, for example. And then you slowly highlight on the contributions of the employee, in which the contribution of the private sector primarily comes from the employee. Okay, if the employee regularly change the organization or work, so then how can the organization perform? Okay, so that is one of the example on how you can relate between your issue and then the general picture. Okay, so first, identify the context within which your study will be conducted and give any background information needed to clarify the context. So you are allowed to insert any facts, figures under your background of study, but not too many. Okay, just general picture so that the reader understood what you are going to portray within your writing. Okay, the second one, tell the reader why the study is important and timely. Okay, first you provide the background, the general background information. Okay, for example, the importance of private sector toward the economy. Then later on, okay, you provide the information on why the study is important. Okay, so then you provide an example. How you can provide is what I said just now. How does turnover will affect the overall organizational performance? So then kita dah nampak isu dia kat situ. Okay, and then third, build a case for the statement of the problem to follow. Okay, so this one, you try to build a statement that will link to the next section, which is your statement of problem. Okay, and then finally, highlight the key theoretical constructs you will describe in greater depth later in this chapter and in more detail in chapter 2, which is the literature review. Okay, so in this section also, you need to highlight the variables. Okay, you just give general clue on the independent variable that you want to highlight. Okay, but the overall discussion should be on your dependent variable or the main focus of your research for those who do the qualitative. Okay, but okay, at the end of it, for those who do the quantitative, make sure you give a general picture on the variables that you are going to include within your study. Okay, and then finally, okay, you highlight on the theories. Okay, give the clue on the theories that you are going to use in chapter 2 later on within your background of the study. So these are the elements that should be included under the background of the study. Clear so far? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Next one, research statement of problem or standard of procedure pula. Bukan not standard of procedure. SOP ni referring to standard of statement of problem, standard of procedure pula. Okay, so how you can write down after you give the idea, general idea on the background of the study, then it should come to your statement of problem. So all the research starts out by identifying a meaningful problem or opportunity about which we want to gain better knowledge or solution. Okay, so statement of problem is actually part of the justification why you want to conduct the study, why you want to conduct the study related to the selected area. Okay, a research problem is a perplexing or troubling condition. Okay, according to Loisel and Profeto ni. Dia kata dia menunjukkan research problem ni, dia menunjukkan satu situasi yang bermasalah. Okay, and then both qualitative and quantitative researchers identify a research problem within a broad topic or area of interest. Okay, and then the purpose of disciplined research is to solve the problem or to contribute to its solution by accumulating relevant information. So a problem statement articulates the problem to be addressed. Okay, so how to identify the statement of problem? How you can identify the statement of problem? Okay. first, it is must based on your literature review. Okay, so read, and yeah, keep reading. Okay, until you figure out what is the issue related to your area of interest. Okay, untuk you as a novice researcher, this is what I propose. Keep reading. Okay, until you figure out the main research area. The second one based on a problem based on experience. Okay, so for example, let's suppose we are working at a university where the attrition rate from the doctoral program is higher than the historical average of doctoral programs throughout Malaysia. That's clearly a problem we could investigate. Okay, so probably based on your own experience attending the class, the virtual class, for example, you said that it is very difficult for you to understand what has been said by the lecturer, for example. Okay, so that is your based on your experience. You try to transform it in a good statement and then search through the literature to get support for at least maybe in the literature there are also people or studies that has been conducted similar with what you have in mind, so that you can strengthen your idea. Okay, so ini contoh dia. Based dia kata our school has an attrition rate greater than 50%. Even though it is based on your experience, but okay, to avoid people saying that it is based on our own bias, so therefore it is strongly recommended for you to get support either from reports provided by the university or reports or literature or research conducted by previous study. Okay, macam saya kata, walaupun dia boleh dari statement of problem ni ataupun masalah ni sebenarnya boleh berasal daripada pengalaman kita, try to translate in a good sentence and then, okay, try to check if there is any report that support your idea provided by university, your institution, or by previous researcher. Okay, bukan kita nak copy dia punya ayat, cuma we want to justify or support our idea. Okay, so this type of problem is generally called a practical or applied research problem because it focus on an issue within an organization. Okay, so ini adalah jenis penyataan masalah yang pertama, which is practical research problem. Okay, ini contoh practical research problem. Clear? Faham?
Faham, Doktor.
Okay, good. Okay, so next one. Okay, so another applied research case. So I might focus on a problem among DCE3004 students. Okay, for example, regardless of the amount of exercise they do, DCE3004 students do not score in final exam. So this is, for example, based on my experience. So I want to know why my student didn't form in their final exam, regardless all of the exercise or assignment that I provided to them. Sini contoh. Okay. Finally, I might focus on a problem that many employers today seem to be wrestling with. For example, employees who smoke are less productive than those who do not smoke. So this is probably the issue that I observe, let's say, within the organization that I work. Okay. Okay, so next one, theoretical or basic research problem. Yang tadi tu example of practical research problem, which is it arise based on the organization or actual setting. Okay. The second one, the next one is the theoretical or basic research problem, okay, in which it comes from conflict or contradictions in previous findings or a desire to extend the knowledge about specific problem area. So dia kata kat sini the contradiction in previous finding. So probably based on previous research related to turnover. Okay, so my DV is turnover. Okay, so based on previous research, after I did my literature review from 2010 until 2020, for example, okay, I found that, okay, there are in total there are 100 research conducted related to turnover. Okay, for example, saya jumpa 100 kajian yang buat research berkaitan turnover from 2010 until 2020. Okay, so out of this 100, okay, 60% they use theory of planned behavior. Okay, another 20% they use social exchange theory. And then another 20% they use other theory. Okay, which is one of the examples. So probably social identity. Ada ni banyak lah Okay, one of it example is social identity theory. Okay, so as a theoretical to formulate my theoretical gap, okay, I may indicate that less studied previously use social identity theory in the area. Okay, less studied because perhaps it is just falls under others ni, less than 20%. Okay, so I said that, so therefore, because previous study less there are limited study that using social identity theory. So therefore, for the purpose of my study, I want to extend the social identity theory to see the applicability of the theory in explaining the turnover. Kenapa saya highlight that one? Okay, to explain the turnover through social identity theory. Clear? Example of theoretical research gap. Faham Okay, good. Okay, and then tadi saya dah sebutlah this one or desire to extend it means that because there are limited study on social identity theory, dia ada but limited. So therefore, I want to use this social identity theory in my study, okay, to fill in the gap, okay, and then at the same time extend the knowledge. Extend the knowledge ni in terms of, okay, the capability of the theory, okay, to explain the relationship between my IVs and my DV, which is turnover. Okay, clear untuk theoretical example of theoretical research gap. Okay, so next one. Ni saya tengok apa yang saya buat sebelum ni. Ni. So, okay, so another one, you can write the way you can write tadi. Satu saya kata TPB. Okay, second one social exchange theory. Another one social identity. Which is the first one ni dia kata ada, saya kata tadi 60%. This one 20%. Okay, and then this one fall under others but less than 20%. Okay, so because there are, you can state that another example, you can also state that among the regular theories that have been used in the area of turnover by previous researcher include theory of planned behavior, social exchange theory, and social exchange theory. Salah ayat ni, bukan, tukar. Among the theories that mostly been used by previous researcher in the area of turnover include theory of planned behavior, social exchange theory, and others. Okay, example of others is social identity theory. However, there are still no consensus regarding the most suitable theory related to turnover. Dia tak ada konsensus. Sebab apa? Ada yang guna TPB, some use TPB, some use social exchange, and then some use others. Which is example of others, social identity theory. Okay, so therefore, this study will propose social identity theory. Okay, so ini salah satu cara nak tulis theoretical gap. Okay. So ni dia punya contoh lah you all boleh go through the literature lah this one. Boleh you all boleh baca dengan saya bagi contoh kat sini. Ini salah satu statement. There is a conflicting research on how to support dissertation students in an online environment. So ini salah satu cara yang you all boleh buat. Okay, next one. Okay, so in another example, one of my students was interested in using video to teach a basic concept in his undergraduate research method and statistic classes. So he searched the literature and found that many studies had been conducted with varying results in other disciplines, and unfortunately, none of them dealt with research methods and statistics. So because the result of using video might vary from field to field, so it led him to state there have been no studies investigating the use of video in undergraduate research methods and statistics classes. Ini another example lah. Okay, next one, based by using suggestion for future research. Okay, so another example on how you can get your statement of problem is by reading the literature, by looking at the section of recommendation. Okay, when you read your article, you can see one section which is on recommendation. So that part probably you can refer to get the idea on how you can write your statement of problem. Okay. Okay. So first you need to know the relevant literature lah. Okay, first make sure you get the relevant literature related to the area of interest. Okay, and then focus on suggestion for future research, okay, or articles of interest, future trend, conclusion, or any titles that related. Okay, so in that section, the article's author point a doctoral researcher even more in the direction they may want to go. Okay, sebab dalam section tu you all boleh tengok direction yang sebenarnya the issues that already been identified by previous scholar ni, by the authors ni. Authors ni dia dah identify dari issue yang sebenarnya yang kita boleh continue. Okay, then you can get your idea from there. Okay, not just the idea lah, but the way on how you can write your statement of problem. Okay. And then next one, speaking with the expert in the field. Okay, get the expert for help. You can contact them through email, discuss with expert. So how you are going to know the expert? One of the way is by reading. Okay, when you read the literature, when you read your article, then you get the name of the author. Okay, to get their opinion, then you may contact them through email. Boleh je contact. Okay, another example is you get permission, a copy, and to use instrument from original author. Ni later on lah bila kita akan discuss this one when we are at the section of instrument development. Ini contoh yang saya buat lah. Kalau saya nak minta kebenaran menggunakan, if I want to seek for their permission to get the instrument by the author. Okay, so just email them. Okay, next one, by attending conferences or professional meeting. Okay, so for example, each year there are literally thousands of conferences dedicated to almost any discipline. So in HRD, one of the popular research conference is AHRD. Okay, the conference in human resource development that organized by Academy of Human Resource Development, AHRD. And then this year, okay, in which the conference will be conducted in tomorrow, start tomorrow. Okay, our department will be organizing one conference yang saya cakap tadi lah Okay, so the conference will be 3 days within this week lah. Okay, from 16, 17 and 18. Itu pun salah satu cara you can identify your research problem. Okay, so personally I attend quite a few educational research conference. So while I'm there, I see many of the people whose names I recognize from the literature I read. Ni biasanya kalau you all pergi conference related to your area, you will meet the scholars or expert that you see their name in article. Okay, kalau dalam HRD tu you all nak jumpa Ronald D. Jacobs, Ronald siapa lagi? Laura Birima. So nanti attend the conference and you can see their face. Boleh jumpa. Okay. Then you can directly talk to them lah. Okay, and then there are several ways for students to learn more about a potential problem area. Okay, then you can look at the conference program and identify sessions you are interested in attending. At the end of the sessions, there is usually an open period where everyone can ask questions. Okay, in which you can approach author. You can also approach author outside a formal session. Okay, so kalau you attend conference ni, biasanya dia akan ada parallel session. Okay, dia akan ada forum, dia akan ada jugalah forum. Tapi yang akan ada, yang wajib ada adalah parallel session in which the session that involve the presentation by authors. Okay, dia akan ada presentation. So during the presentation session, at the end of each presentation ni, there will be Q&A session. So during the Q&A session ni lah yang you all are allowed to ask question. Okay. So then other than that, you can also approach the expert outside the formal session. Okay. Okay, so then according to Martin, according to Martin 1980, dia kata the problem ni can evolve from 4 circumstances. Okay, so based on little or no research on a particular topic exists, this one you can know either there are or there is no research area on particular topic by doing your comprehensive literature review. Okay, buat literature, you all buat, you review your literature and then you can know either the research exists or not. Okay, there is some research but it has not been applied to enough samples or in enough situation to be considered a reliable phenomenon. So this is the second one lah. Dia kata ada research tetapi tidak cukup. There are research but still limited and that it is not applicable to various situation or various population. Itu another example of statement of problem. Another one is research abounds but the findings are contradictory. There are a lot of research but the findings are different. There are still no consensus. Okay. And the next one, 2 theories explain the same phenomena but recommend or predict different outcomes. For example, based on the 3 theories that I provided just now, okay, they use similar theory. For example, theory of planned behavior, but the findings lead to different things. So why? So itu pun you all boleh jadikan gap. Okay, so ini adalah the guideline lah. Okay, boleh tak bagi saya 2 minit? Saya rasa saya nak kena pergi minum air lah, sakit tekak dah. Hold on 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, so clear regarding how you can construct and how you can get your statement of problem. Isu dulu sebenarnya how you can get the problem ni, it's related to the way how you figure out your topic. Sebenarnya dia berlaku sekali lah, dia berlaku serentak. Okay, so types of research gap. Okay, so in general there are 4 types of research gap. The first one, the real research gap, which is anything that related to research gap. Okay, yang ni umum lah. The second one, the practical gap. Okay, and then theoretical gap, and then the methodological gap. Okay, so this one research gap ni actually the gap that you found from literature related to your topic lah. How many research being conducted, they are limited or no research. Practical gap ni the one that I presented, I give you the example just now. Okay, the gap that arise from your workplace or organizational setting. Okay, and then theoretical gap ni the gap related to theories, either limited theories yang macam saya kata tadi. Okay, and then the methodological gap ni the gap related to method. Okay, ada tak slide seluruhnya ni? Tengok dulu. Okay, apa? So the methodological gap ni, for example, after you review your research from 2010 until 2020 again, I give a similar example. Okay. So then, as I said, there are 100 studies conducted in turnover area. Okay. So then, among this 100, okay, 19%, which is 90 research lah, 90 research has been conducted by using qualitative design. Only 10% or 10 articles, then 10 research conducted by using quant. So therefore, you can say that based on this one, you can conclude that okay, there are still less research in quantitative area. So therefore, you want to proceed with this one. Itu salah satu contoh, the methodological gap, which is the gap related to method of doing the research. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, so this one for our lab session activity juga. Okay. For your proposal, okay, for your proposal, you may proceed with writing your statement of problem. Background of study. Okay, for your proposal. Okay, for lab session, during your lab session, after we completed presentation on referencing style, each group need to prepare your statement of problem. Okay, when you prepare your statement of problem, make sure you include these 3 types of statement of problem. Maksudnya akan ada sekurang-kurangnya 4 paragraph. Okay, research statement of problem related to research gap, practical gap, theoretical gap, and methodological gap. This is during lab presentation, lab session. After we done with the presentation on referencing style. Okay, faham? Take note? Dah take note dah?
Dah.
Okay, good. Ni saya sebut dan nanti saya akan tuntut. Bila saya sebut saya akan tuntut Okay, so next one, characteristics of a good statement of problem. So the first one, the problem is interesting to the researcher. First, dia mesti menarik untuk researcher dulu sebelum dia menarik untuk orang lain. Okay, the second one, the scope of the problem is manageable by the researcher. Make sure the topic that you choose, the scope and so on, it is manageable. It can be controlled by you as researcher in terms of money, finance, literature review. Literature review tu termasuklah the number of independent variable that you choose. Okay, all the things, so all the elements you need to consider. Next one, the researcher has the knowledge time and resources needed to investigate the problem. So make sure you all buat tu ikut kemampuan. Okay, and then the problem can be researched through the collection and analysis of the data. Make sure yang tajuk ataupun area yang you pilih is researchable lah maksud dia. Okay, jangan pilih yang nampak myth, mitos yang benda yang tak boleh diukur. And then investigating the problem has theoretical or practical significance. Means that the problem that you mention ni, they have a practical and significant contribution. Okay, and then it is ethical to investigate the problem. Make sure the proposed idea must be ethical. Okay, then you need to look from the perspective of ethical issue. Okay, so then how to write your statement of problem? Make sure it is clear and concise. For example, based on this statement, is this a problem? Any question? Any answer? Higher student engagement in courses using online learning management system. Is this a problem? Anybody?
No.
No. Betul? Siapa yang jawab tu? Amir. Bagus Amir. Thank you Amir. Okay, so ni tak ada masalah. Tak menunjukkan masalah. What about this one? Amir. Amir lagi sekali. Tak apalah Amir. Saya harap Amir faham. Amir pandai. Is this a problem? Observations indicate that there are low level of students' engagement when using online management systems in our school. Is this a problem? Yes. So where is the keyword? Low level. Okay. So ni bukan masalah. Ini masalah. Okay. Next one. Kita tengok ada lagi tak saya letak example. Ni pula. Epilepsy and diet. Is this a problem?
No, Doctor.
No. Then it could be rewarded. Sorry, it could be rewarded to make it clearer. Seizure disorder in children are a prevalent concern in the United States. Where's the issue there? Apa isu kat sini?
Seizure disorder.
Seizure disorder. Then lagi the keyword. What is the keyword?
Prevalent concern.
Prevalent concern. Very good. Okay. You all kena pandai cahu dua-dua. Okay, this one issue dia. Okay, but the keyword is this one. Okay, next one. Lagi tak? Bagus juga ada example macam ni. Okay, next one must include all the variables to be considered. Okay, for example, if you wanted to investigate the relationship of different piano manufacturers and perceived quality of musicians, would there be anything wrong with this problem statement? For example, kalau you all tengok ni, pianos from different manufacturers have different tones. Ada isu tak? Ada isu ke tak ni? Cepat.
I think no.
No. Is it clear? Is it a problem?
No.
No. They can. If no, then how you can help me or help us to make it a better statement that probably include the clue for variable. Macam ni, contoh dia kata if you wanted to investigate the relationship of different piano manufacturers, so and perceived quality by musician. Meaning that we want to include the element of quality ni with manufacturers. Okay ke tak statement of problem? First, is this a statement of problem? Itu dulu soalan dia. Jawapan dia tadi no. If no, then how can you help me to reword this statement so that it sounds better and then in your opinion?
Includekan sekali musician.
Okay, includekan sekali musician. Pianos from different manufacturers have different tone. Tapi the idea tu kan datang daripada musician kan, different tones tu. Faham tak? So maksudnya the one who tested the tones is the musician.
Oh, mungkin includekan manufacturers.
Manufacturer dah ada.
Oh,
Hmm.
banyak cara.
So means that when you realize apa lagi?
The quality of piano from different manufacturers have different tones.
So maksudnya betul lah ni kan? Right. So different tones referring to quality. Betul?
Oh, okay.
Different manufacturers referring to manufacturers. So they want to highlight that the perceived quality ni. So means that kat sini there is no consensus lah, consistent tone between the pianos developed by different manufacturers. Betul? Short but give meaning. Betul tak? Betul ke tak? Ke saya salah?
Betul.
So it is already the gap lah kat sini. Dalam walaupun dia tak ada keywords. Tapi keywords dia kat sini je lah, have different tone. So different tone, have different tones ni represent the perceived quality by musician. Perceived quality. But how do we measure the quality for those who play piano? Siapa yang play piano? Ada tak siapa-siapa yang bermain piano? How do you perceive the quality of the tone and how you describe the quality of the tone tu? So ni lah kan? Macam mana you all nak describe? Is there any better way? Better terms? Ada tak? Okay, so this is one of the example lah. The example of the variable. This is the variable lah because the study ni, the researcher ni interested to know about the quality of the tone, the perceived quality of the tone produced by the piano. So this is the dia punya IV. This one IV and then this one the DV. Okay. Okay, next one. Tengok. Okay, is the problem statement below valid if you are interested in investigating the ability of a dog to be trained and whether the dog was purchased from a breeder or from a pet shop? Dua benda yang kita nak tahu. Okay, first thing, because we are interested to investigate the ability of a dog to be trained. Okay, this is one, the ability of the dog to be trained and whether the dog was purchased from a breeder or from a pet store. Ni kita punya DV. Okay. Ability of a dog to be trained is our dependent variable and whether the dog was purchased from breeder, okay, or pet store is our IV. Okay, so dia kata kat sini there is a difference in the ability to be trained between puppies that were purchased from a breeder and puppies that were purchased from a pet store. So is this a problem?
Pada pendapat saya, yes, doktor.
Yes. So it is a problem. Okay, betul. Pandai Amir. Okay, sebab dia memang clearly mention they are different. Okay, so next one. Saya bagi contoh yang betul-betul lah. Okay, should not interject the bias of the researcher. So make sure you do not include the bias of the researcher. Okay, so particularly for those who do the quantitative research, quanti. So do not insert your bias. Okay, for example, if I was arguing for the need for more technology in our public school, I might write, this study will prove that purchasing computers to use in the elementary school curriculum will increase achievement. Okay, so without, but if you want to reduce the bias ni, you just provide support from literature. Okay. Kita tak boleh nak letakkan bias kita. Maksudnya if you locate your bias, that it means that it is based on your own personal interest. Okay, but if you want to justify any idea that you want to propose, make sure you get support. Okay, you at least you portray your interest indirectly. Okay. Next one. What about the following one? Okay, what about this one? Students who do not use computers as part of their curriculum have lower achievement than students who use computers as part of the curriculum. So which one better? This one ke? This one? This one? The study will prove that purchasing computer to use in the elementary school curriculum will increase achievement. Or this one?
Second one.
Second one.
Second one. Very good. Okay. Next one. Okay. So based on the statement of problem ni, the statement of problem for you as a novice researcher is quite different to be developed. Okay, but based on the example that I provide just now, probably you have the idea on how you can develop statement of problem, and then how you and then what are the keywords that you can identify. Okay, when you read your literature, then you can look at for the keywords from the writing, from the literature, where you can identify your statement of problem. Okay, so another thing that can help you to develop your statement of problem is by using the research problem phrase bank. Okay, so for example, you can identify and among the word that mostly been used by authors or researchers are, the problem of this study is blah 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 blah. There has been little evidence on blah 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 blah. So far, there has been little agreement on about blah 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 blah. There is little published research on turnover intention among employees in manufacturing company, for example. Okay, data about efficacy and safety of X are limited. Okay, a search of literature revealed few studies which blah 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 blah. So these are the phrase bank that you may apply in your writing, or you may also use this phrase bank to identify the statement of problem in article journal when you read the article. Okay, macam mana kita nak tahu itu adalah statement of problem. Okay. So far so good? Okay. Satu, saya nak you all regular dengan the article, and then after you are regular with the article, the format and so on, now you look at the content. From the content, you need to be regular with any section, with the specific section within the article tu. Mana you all nak dapat maklumat yang cepat. Okay, so next one, how you can develop your research question. So research questions are the specific queries researchers want to answer in addressing a research problem. So research question guide the types of data to be collected in the study. Then researcher who make specific prediction regarding the research. Okay, saya ni buang. Saya edit sikit. Okay. Yang this one, because after the discussion during our lab session too, there are some of you who are interested to do qualitative. Okay, but in general, the research question should comes after your statement of problem. After you write down your statement of problem, then you derive your research question. Okay, so means that any statement or problem that you develop, make sure it is tally, it is in alignment with your RQ research question. Okay, for those who do the qualitative, okay, most your focus your objective will be portrayed through research question. Okay, but for those who do the quantitative, it is an optional for you to derive your RQ because your objective will be portrayed by research objective. Faham eh? For those who do the qualitative, your objective will be portrayed by using your research question. But for those who do the quantitative, research question is an optional. Okay, and then your research objective is compulsory for you. But for the qualitative people, okay, there shouldn't, biasanya tiada, there is no objective in your study. You just mention your research question. So your research question already represent your research objective. Okay. Okay, so clear regarding research question. So research question, you just translate whatever problem that you have, that you mention in your statement of problem in a very precise statement and in question mark. Itu saja dalam bentuk soalan. Faham? Okay, so research objective is a sentence that states what the study is investigating. So it allows the reader to quickly identify the research topic for the study. So this one is very easy for the quantitative people. Okay, for the quantitative people, okay, you just mention your statement of problem. Objective. Okay, so you just you derive your objective according to your statement of problem. So what you mention in your statement of problem, then you derive under your objective. Okay. So this one again, before I forgot, so this one it is in a form of statement, but this one is in a form of question mark. How, why, what. Okay, but this one dalam bentuk objektif lah, to determine what, to investigate what, to identify what. Okay. So next one, quantitative statement of objective. Okay, the purpose statement for quantitative studies focus on the variables, participants, and the specific location you are going to investigate your problem area. So mean that for the quantitative researcher, when you derive your statement of problem, make sure you include these three elements: variables, participants, and specific location. Variables, participant, and specific location. Okay, so quantitative purpose statement allows us to identify the unit of analysis. The unit of analysis ni. Okay, so what is unit of analysis? Anybody? Unit of analysis is referring to the group that the conclusion will be made after you completed your study. Okay, unit of analysis is referring to any group, population, or elements that you want to make conclusion after you completed your study. Okay, is it a group? Either it can be a group, population of individual, it can be institutions, it can be universities. Okay, so it refers to the person or group or anything that you want to make conclusion after you completed your study. Itu maksud unit of analysis. Okay, so according to Baby 2012, this is the who or what you are studying. So it's the thing we are examining that allow us to create summaries or make inferences based on them. So ini dia maksud unit of analysis according to Baby 2012. So this might include individuals, group, organization, or the like. Okay, so while you will not specifically state the unit of analysis, it's critical that it is inferred and related to what you want to measure in order to keep from making invalid or erroneous conclusions. Okay, so ingat bila saya kata unit of analysis ni, dia refer kepada orang yang kita nak buat conclusion dalam bahasa Melayu apa? Conclusion?
Kesimpulan. Kesimpulan.
Betul. Saya hilang perkataan kejap. Okay. So unit of analysis ni merujuk kepada group, unit, institution atau apa sahaja yang kita nak buat kesimpulan bila kita dah habiskan kajian kita tu, kita nak buat kesimpulan kat siapa. Okay, the summaries tu belong to whom. Okay, clear yang this one unit of analysis ni. Okay, so next one. The purpose statement also identify the independent and dependent variables in our study, as what I mentioned earlier lah. You must specify your variable. Okay, and then for now we'll just consider our independent variable to be the cause we are investigating, and then the dependent variable can be described as the effect we want to measure. Okay, so the independent variable, alamak, besar pula. Okay, so salah. Okay, so the IV is the cause. Dan DV is the effect. Okay, biasanya cause and effect. Logically, how we should draw the connection between IV and DV? Any idea? If let's say we want to draw the connection between IV dengan DV, IV and DV. So logically, how should we draw? Is it from left to right or right to left? Anybody? Ramai ni dalam kelas ni. Okay, when you want to illustrate in in graphic form, how you can show the connection between your IV and DV? Is it from left to right or right to left? Guys, you all dengar ke tak?
Okay.
Amin, from left to right or right to left? Amin or Salina?
Maksudnya macam mana?
Okay, so here, tak faham maksud saya. Okay. So I'm just asking you, if let's say you want to illustrate the connection between your IV and your DV, IV and DV in a graphic form, dalam bentuk grafik yang boleh nampak. Okay, if you want to show the connection between your IV and DV in a graphic form, how should you draw the connection? Is it from left to right or right to left? Kalau you all nak lukis hubungan antara IV dengan DV, macam mana you all nak lukis? Connection tu, perhubungan tu. Is it from daripada kanan ke kiri ke kanan? Itu saya dah translate. Dalam I cannot translate in Mandarin, sorry.
I think left to right.
IV to DV?
Yes, yeah, I know IV to DV. Tapi siapa cakap tadi left to right?
Me, doctor.
Siapa? Nabila?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, good, Nabila. Okay, so when you want to draw the connection between your IV and DV, okay, so it should come from left to right. Okay, so the cause is on your left side, effect is on your right side. This is how you can illustrate the connection between your IV and DV. So betul kan soalan saya tadi kan? Ke salah? Ke soalan saya tu, arahan saya tu unclear?
Betul, doktor. Betul.
Okay. Takut you all tak clear dengan arahan saya lah. Okay, so next one. To write a purpose statement, you simply begin with, okay, the purpose of this study is to investigate or determine the relationship between ni. Okay, so this is the example on how you can write your statement of problem. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, so another example. Okay. Okay. So the purpose of this study is to determine if different types of teacher feedback affect a 5th grade student's motivation and achievement. Okay, so based on earlier criteria that I showed to all of you, a good objective should indicate, kena indicate apa? What are the criteria of a good statement, research objective? It should indicate cepat. In our previous slide.
IVDV.
Okay, the variable. Okay, good. Variable.
Participants.
Okay, IVDV lah. Okay, participant. Okay, participant ni referring to sample of population. Okay, lagi.
Specific location.
Location. Good. Okay, and then another one. This one we should involve the unit of analysis. Okay, then you identify your unit of analysis. Okay, so based on this, based on this statement, so then we try to derive it according to the category. So based on this one, we identify the variables. So the variables are the DV are what is the DV? What is the DV based on the example? Saya dah tulis dah pun, tapi identify cuba kat sini. So the DV is students motivation. Students motivation and achievement. Okay, based on this statement, so the DV is the students motivation and achievement. Okay, and then the IV. What is the IV?
Different type of feedback.
Okay, different types of teacher feedback. So this is the DV. And this is the IV, then this one is the DV. Okay, respondents, who are the respondents?
5th grade student.
5th grade student. So dia dah letak kat sini siap-siap. 5th grade student. Unit of analysis? Student. Because after he completed the researcher completed the study, so the findings will belong to student. Does not necessarily belongs to the 5th grade, but the student. Okay, the location, dia tak letaklah kat situ, tapi dia tak letak kat sini, tapi supposedly kita letak. So an elementary school in that county, okay, Florida. Country saya rasa ni. Tukar teruslah. Main sebut je. Okay, the next one. Okay, the purpose of this study is to investigate the effect of corporal punishment on the achievement of high school student. Okay, first, what is the DV? Tak payah tengok jawapan saya lagi. Tengok sini terus. So then you can train yourself. What is the DV? Dependent variable?
Achievement of high school student.
Okay, good. Achievement of high school student. What is the IV?
Corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment. Okay, IV. Okay, and then what is the unit of analysis?
High school students.
High school students lah, but still referring to high school students. Good. High school student. Okay, then specific those who have attended the tak ada. Betul lah, high school students lah. High school student. Okay, the location tak ada kat situ, tapi high school student in Middleburg, Tennessee. Okay. And then the respondents are student. So in this case sebenarnya sama. Okay, dia punya unit of analysis ni dengan respondents are similar. Okay. Okay, ini clear. Next one. This is the example of quantitative purpose statement script. Okay, so the purpose of the proposed study is to test the theory of blah blah blah. Okay, that describe outcomes or compares, relate and so on. You just include your element Masa ni. This is the example of the script. Okay. Okay. So basically, so in general format for your dissertation, for your dissertation report, or for the purpose of the class, when you write your statement of when you write your objective, there will be two types of objective that you need to write. The first one is, saya better buat slide baru kot ni. Okay, it's okay kat sini. Kat sini saya tak buat. Ada. Okay. Tak payah tu buat dah. Ada. Okay. Okay, so clear regarding the quantitative research objective? Clear? Any question?
So far, no, Doctor.
Okay, good. Okay, next one is qualitative statement of objective. So as what I said, basically the qualitative objective ni biasanya kita jarang pakai. Okay, so for this class saya tak proceed lah with this one because the qualitative statement qualitative basically they use the research question as their objective. Okay, so this one saya tak proceed lah. Okay, saya tak proceed this one. Okay, so next one we proceed with types of research objective. Okay, jenis-jenis objektif kajian. So there are two objective. There are two objective. There are two types. Okay, so the first one general research objective, and the second one is specific research objective. So general research objective ni will specify the objective of your study in general. In general. Okay, for example, if let's say in your study you want to determine the factors influencing turnover, so that is your objective. The purpose of the study is to determine factors influencing turnover. Okay, because why it is general? Because you do not specify your IV. You just mention in general factors. So what are the factors? If you want to know, then we need to refer to specific objective. Okay, itu maksud dia general. Okay. Objektif yang umum. Okay, then specific research objective referring to the specific research objective that specify the elements that you want to cover under the general objective. Okay, so general objective ni, example of general objective, probably first to determine the level of individual safety behavior at work among employees in a manufacturing company in Selangor, for example. The second one, to determine the level of training and preventive action and competence among employees in a manufacturing company in Johor Bahru. Okay, next one, to determine the relationships between training and preventive action and competence with individual safety behavior at work among employees in a manufacturing company in Johor Bahru. Next one, to determine the influence of training and preventive action and competence with individual safety behavior at work among employees in a manufacturing company. So this is the example of objective in quantitative research. Okay, but in general, you just mentioned that the general objective of this study is to examine factors that influence individual safety behavior at work. So for general objective, we just mentioned we just specify our IV. Then probably you may add on the location lah, the participant and location. Okay, among employees in manufacturing company. Oh, saya tambah siap-siap lah. Okay, so you just specify your respondent, your location, and your DV, but not on your IV. So in terms of your IV, you just mention factors to specify your to specify your IVs, then we need to refer to specific objective. Okay, clear? Faham so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so another information is for those who do the quantitative research, when you formulate your research objective, okay, you need to consider the arrangement criteria when you arranging your objective. Okay, the first criteria is when you formulate your objective, you need to link with type of statistical analysis. Statistical analysis. Okay, when you formulate your objective, for those who do the quantitative research, when you formulate your research objective, you need to directly link with the type of statistical analysis that you want to use in your study. Okay, I thought I already mentioned to all of you how many type of statistical analysis do we have last week kan? Last week lecture ke dalam lab saya mention? Tak ada
Contoh ANOVA tu ke doktor?
Apa dia? Apa Farah?
ANOVA.
Yes, one of it ANOVA. But just let me know the category apa tu the grouping. Saya tak sebut lagi kan?
Yang inference effect semua tu kan?
Betul. Tapi yang saya nak tu nama the analysis tu. Tak apalah, saya sebut lagi sekali. Saya pun ingat lupa saya sebut ke tak. Okay. So when we mention the statistics, so in general we have 4 categories. Okay. The first one, the basic statistical analysis, we have descriptive analysis. Descriptive I ni analysis or descriptive statistics. Okay. So descriptive analysis ni cover the basic statistic. For example, analysis like frequency, mean, mode, median, average, percentage. Okay, that one falls under descriptive analysis. Okay, the second one we have comparison. Okay, the comparison is sometimes you need to be very careful because some analysis, even though it is we use for comparison, but it can also shows the correlation. Okay, comparison here you need to be very careful lah. Okay, the second one, example of comparison analysis, yes, what Farah said, ANOVA. Okay, another one we have t-test. Okay, t-test ni dia ada 3. Then you need to attend class by Dr. Ashraf lah later on to know in details regarding the types of analysis. Okay, so t-test ni basically we have 3 types of t-test. One sample t-test, independent sample t-test, and dependent sample t-test. Okay, so ANOVA ni pun dia ada banyak. 1-way ANOVA, 2-way ANOVA, 3-way ANOVA, and so on. Okay, and then we also have the chi-square. Okay, to look for comparison. Example lah Okay, next one we have the correlation. Okay, so correlation we have 2 types of correlation. The first one is Spearman-Rowe correlation or Spearman rank order correlation, or another one we have Pearson product moment correlation. So we have 2. For correlation we only have 2 types. Pearson product moment correlation or Spearman rank order correlation. But sometimes for those who do the for those who conducted experimental research design, they may use comparative analysis ni to determine correlation. Ada And the next one we have, last one we have regression. Okay, so regression ni referring to biasanya untuk level you all kita just introducekan simple linear regression. Okay, untuk level you all ni we just introduce you with the linear regression. Dia ada lagi logistic regression. Okay, dia ada banyak jenis tapi at your level, I just introduce you with linear regression. Okay, so back to this objective. So as what I said, when you formulate your research objective, you need to link with this analysis, with this level of statistical analysis. Okay, so first one, when you say to determine the level. So this one, when you want to determine the level, so the statistical analysis that you will use will be mean, standard deviation, okay, mean, standard deviation, and then probably percentage and frequency. So that's why you use these three statistical analyses to determine the level. So that is why it falls under the descriptive analysis. Clear?
Clear.
Okay, good. Next one. To determine the level of training and preventive action and competence among employees in a manufacturing company in Johor. So what type of statistical analysis that we are going to use for this one?
Descriptive juga.
Descriptive, betul, pandai Amir. So descriptive, this one descriptive. Second one descriptive. Third one? To determine the relationship between training and preventive action and competence with individual safety behavior at work among employees in a manufacturing company in Johor Bahru. Which statistical analysis that we are going to use?
Maybe comparison.
Cuba tengok betul-betul. Keyword kat saya guna kat situ.
Correlation.
Correlation, very good. Correlation. Kalau comparative, saya akan ada to compare. Dia akan ada ayat to compare. Okay, so this one correlation. Next one, to examine the influence of training and preventive action and competence with individual safety behavior at work among employees in a manufacturing company in Johor Bahru. So which statistical analysis? Cepat.
Correlation.
Tengok keyword je tu.
Oh,
Regression.
Apa dia?
Regression.
Very good, Syamil. Regression. Ni kan kita dah discuss hari tu. Yang 4 level tu. The words, the keyword that you should use. Compare. Ingat tak? The 4 keywords yang saya kata cadangkan untuk guna. So this one lah, influence ni referring to, you are going to seek the factors influencing. So therefore you should use regression. Okay? So clear So dalam ni, in this objective, I didn't specify an example on comparison. I just have on descriptive, and then correlation and regression. Okay? So this is how you should construct your research objective. Okay? Okay, so next one. Characteristics of a research objective, it should be in logical sequence. Okay, so when I mention sequence here, a logical sequence here, it should follow. Okay, you should aware lah for quantitative researcher, you should follow the sequence in statistical analysis. Okay, and then it should be clear and unambiguous what is to be done. So your statement of problem must be very clear and precise to determine what, to examine what. So in terms of the selection of keyword, to examine, to investigate. Okay, what else? What else you can use? Make sure it is specific and quantifiable. Okay, so it should be ethical and do not cause physical or psychological injury to anyone or environment. It should outline the scope of research. By the scope of research, you can outline by determining your unit of analysis, your location, your respondent. That's how you specify the scope of your research in your objective. Okay, it should give the clear picture of how to perform the investigation. So this one reflect the term to determine, to identify. Okay, bukan letak to know, no. To know, how you are going to know? To determine, we can determine. Right? Make sure the selection of keyword that you use in the front, at the front of your statement of problem tu, it is can be investigated or it can be quantifiable. Dia boleh ditukar dalam bentuk kuantitatif maksudnya Okay, next one. Okay, some language expression for statement of general purpose. So the research is designed to study the purpose of this study is to learn. It is the aim of the current research to determine whether the research is desired to investigate, to highlight, or to examine. This study intends to find out so these are the example of expression on general purpose. Okay, so any question on statement of problem? Sorry, statement of objective. Ada soalan? Clear untuk objektif?
Doktor,
Yes.
saya nak confirmkan semula pasal yang the two types of research objective. So the general one only contains for the location, sample, and the DV. So if there's a IV within the sentence, meaning that that's the specific, is it?
Yes.
True?
Yes, correct.
All right. Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Salina. Okay, so next one is research hypothesis. So this one juga belongs to quantitative researcher. Okay, the qualitative researcher, for those who do qualitative researcher, you do not have any assumption. Okay, you do not have any assumption because the main purpose of your study is you want to explore. Macam mana kalau you all buat assumption awal sedangkan you sebenarnya tak tahu lagi, right? So but for quantitative people, before they conduct their study, they need to have their pre-assumption. Okay, they need to have their predetermined assumption, predetermined finding dulu. Okay, so it is a requirement in quantitative research. So a hypothesis is nothing more than a statement expressing the researcher's belief about an event that has occurred or will occur. Okay, on one stated, hypotheses are tested by collecting and analyzing numeric data. Okay, so hypothesis ni, how we develop the hypothesis? How do we develop the hypothesis?
Through the literature review.
Based on the literature review. Okay, after you check your literature review, according to the when you review the nature of your relationship between your IV and DV, okay, then you mention your statement of then you develop your research hypothesis. Okay, so make sure that the way you write your hypothesis, it is in testable form, dalam bentuk yang boleh dikaji, diuji. Okay, so there are different ways for stating hypothesis depending on the type of depending on the type of study that you are conducting. Okay, so we are also we also need a good understanding of the direction of hypothesis, as well as learn by statisticians. Always test hypothesis stated in the null format. Hold on, Okay, so bunyi air masak Okay, so there are, so when you formulate your hypothesis, ada tak kat ni? Tak, saya tak. Oh, ada. Okay, tak apa. Okay, saya tak explain lagi lah. Okay, so the purpose of hypothesis in quantitative research include it brings together information to enable the researcher to make a tentative statement about how the variables in the study may be related. Okay, maksudnya dia menunjukkan it shows the connection between your IV and DB lah. Okay, because hypothesis propose tentative ni early assumption for the phenomena, they stimulate a research endeavor that result in the accumulation of new knowledge. Okay, so a hypothesis provide the investigator with a relational statement that is directly testable in a research study. So hypothesis provide direction to the research, and the hypothesis provide framework for reporting the findings and conclusions of the study. Okay, so tak apalah this one, yeah. Okay, so characteristics of a usable hypothesis. So hypothesis states the expected relationship between variable. Okay, so this is the criteria lah. Make sure the statement that you choose it shows the relationship or connection between your IVs and DV. Okay, then hypothesis must be testable, meaning that the wording that you use must be in quantifiable form. Okay, a hypothesis should be consistent with the existing body of knowledge, meaning that it is a result or a result that was derived from your literature review. Okay, maksudnya we derive our hypothesis ni according to our literature review. Okay, a hypothesis should be stated as simply and concisely as possible. Okay. So in general, to be specific, there are two types of hypothesis, which is research hypothesis or alternative hypothesis, and another one is null hypothesis. Ada dua hypothesis, but saya explain null hypothesis dulu. Okay, so the null hypothesis ni symbolized as H naught. H naught. H naught ni yang bulat ni nama dia naught, K-N-O-T, H naught. Okay, this is the hypothesis that is tested statistically. So when you conduct your study, after you write your null hypothesis, so the null hypothesis is the one that we test in our study, So it is called the null hypothesis because it states that there is no relationship or no difference between the variables in the population. Okay, so a null hypothesis states a negation, not the reverse of what the experimental expects or predict. Okay, what is the point of the null hypothesis? So a null hypothesis lets researchers assess whether apparent relationships are genuine or are likely to be a function of chance alone. Ini fungsi null hypothesis. Okay, null hypothesis ini is a natural is a natural statement that we propose. Okay, and then it is a statement that we test in our study. Okay, the way we formulate our hypothesis, mostly it is inverse from our research purpose. Dia terbalik. Okay, then our research hypothesis is symbolized as HA, or sometimes you may also use H1, H2, HA1, HA2, HA3, and so on. Okay, it developed from observation, related literature, and from the theory described in the study. So you may develop your hypothesis according to three sources. The first one based on your observation, second one based on literature, the third one based on the theory. Okay, research hypothesis state the relationship one expect to find as a result of the research. Okay, so it may be a statement about the expected relationship or the expected difference between the variable of the study. Okay, so for example of statement of hypothesis, there is a positive relationship between IQ and anxiety in elementary school children. Or, okay, you may also state it as children classified as having high IQs will exhibit more anxiety in the classroom than children classified as having low IQs. Dua-dua Okay, so research hypothesis may be stated in a directional or non-directional form. Okay, so means that there are two types of research hypothesis, directional, non-directional. Nandi. Okay, so directional hypothesis states the direction of the predicted relationship or difference between the variable. Okay, so the preceding two hypotheses about IQ and okay. So based on saya punya ni a directional hypothesis states the direction of the predicted relationship or difference between the variable. Okay, based on my example, is this directional or non-directional? Based on the example that I provided here, this one is directional or non-directional?
Directional.
Why directional?
Directional.
Why directional?
Positive relationship.
Positive relationship. Very good. So this is indicate the direction. Okay. Ada lagi tak slide on this one? Tak tengok. Okay, dia ada lagi. Okay, so this is the example of the directional hypothesis. So it provide direction. Okay, and then what about this one? Is this directional or non-directional? Children classified as having high IQs will exhibit more anxiety. Is this directional or non-directional?
None.
Tengok betul-betul. Cuba tengok betul-betul.
Directional.
Directional. Why, Amir?
Classified as having high IQ.
Lagi?
Will
Sekali.
exhibit more anxiety.
Exhibit more anxiety. And then if you aware, there is word here. Having high IQ, high in IQ, will exhibit more anxiety. Anxiety will increase. So this one positive or negative relationship?
Positive.
Positive.
So indirectly, it provide you the direction. Okay, so this is a directional hypothesis. Okay, so a directional hypothesis is stated when one has some basis for predicting a change in the stated direction. So how we can have the basic ni from literature and theory or our observation. Okay, so a non-directional hypothesis in contrast states that a relationship or difference exists but without specifying the direction or nature of the expected finding. For example, there is a relationship between IQ and anxiety in children, but it does not specify either the direction is positive or negative. Okay, so that's why this one is non-directional. Okay, and then the literature review generally provides the basis for stating a research hypothesis as directional or non-directional. So sama ada you want to use directional or non-directional, make sure it is solely based on your literature. Based on past study, how do the researchers propose their hypothesis related to your area? Are they in directional or non-directional? Okay, so you all jangan tanya saya, doktor kena directional ke? Kena wajib ke? No. It depends on your area. Okay, kalau pas tadi kat buat directional, then you may follow, do the directional. Okay, if you are not sure, then do the non-directional. Okay, next one. Nah, dah. Okay, ni tak apa. Okay, so hypothesis for specific statistical test. So this is the example, more specific example. So if let's say you want to develop the hypothesis on relationship or effect, then objective, for example, to investigate whether adding moving pictures to a presentation will improve pupils' memory of the key content of the presentation. So for example, itu dia punya objektif. So our hypothesis, the null hypothesis should be, sepatutnya null hypothesis kat atas tau. Alah, saya ni. Saya yang buat slide tapi saya pula yang hold on, saya change. Okay. Okay, so this is the example. So the objective ialah to investigate whether adding moving pictures to a presentation will improve pupils' memory of the key content of the presentation. Maksudnya dia masukkan gambar bergerak dalam pembentangan, so then either it can improve the students' memory or not. Okay, so our null hypothesis should be something that inverse from whatever we need. Okay, so adding moving pictures will not improve pupils' retention of the content. Okay, and then our research hypothesis, adding moving pictures will improve pupils' retention of the content. So this is how the example of you can specify your hypothesis. Okay, so clear, this is null hypothesis, this is the research hypothesis. Again, I want to repeat, the hypothesis that we test in our research is null hypothesis. The research hypothesis that we want as a researcher is research hypothesis. Ni yang kita nak want. Okay. The hypothesis that we test in research is null hypothesis. Okay. The one that we want as a researcher is a research hypothesis. So therefore, later on, when you want to make your conclusion or hypothesis testing statement, make sure it based on your null hypothesis. Either reject or fail to reject ni, reject hypothesis ni, it must be based on this one, not research hypothesis. Okay. Okay, next one, hypothesis on difference. This one, hypothesis on relationship. This one, hypothesis on difference. Okay, if the research concern whether one method of presenting pictorial stimuli leads to better recognition than another. Dia kata kalau kita ada pictorial stimuli ni, dia akan lead to better recognition than another. Okay, so our null hypothesis will be there is no difference between methods 1 and methods 2. Okay, mu1, mu2 ni methods 1, methods 2, methods 2. Okay, and then our research hypothesis will be different methods of presenting pictorial stimuli resulted in significant difference in recognition. So mu1, mean for group 1, different with mean for group 2. Okay, mu ni the symbol for mean, purata, mean. Okay, this is the example. So next one, clear this one? Clear? Okay, so next one, any question related to hypothesis? Okay, 2 basic rules for hypothesis. Okay, so again, I want to highlight here the direction of hypothesis. So for example, we expect a greater than or less than relationship in our result. So we expect one group perform better than the other, for example. So this is referring to the directional hypothesis. The second one, and non-directional, in which we expect a difference in our results, but we do not know if it will be a greater than or less than relationship. So then we expect one group is different than the other group, but we do not specify which group better than the other, or which group better, or which would like weaker. Okay. So next one, additional notes on hypothesis. So hypothesis only applicable when you are testing on different treatment or relationship between variable. So there is no the hypothesis does not applicable for objective that is related to descriptive analysis. Okay, so hypothesis ni only applicable when you are interested to know the differences between different treatment or different between group or relationship. It does not applicable to the objective that prone towards describing. Okay, and then hypothesis only applicable to research objective that intend to use inferential statistics as their analysis and do not applicable for objective that intend to use descriptive statistics as their analysis. So saya dah letak note siap-siap dah ni. Okay, so this is the background, problem, objective, and hypothesis all together. Okay, this is your topic, statement of problem, statement of objective, research question, hypothesis, objective. Inilah dia punya contoh. Okay, so I thought we shall stop there kot hari ni. Cukup dah tu. I thought there are too many already. Okay, again, please make sure you mark your attendance through Putra Plus. I thought that's all lah for today. 55th slide already. Banyak dah, sikit.
Doctor,
Yeah.
actually the slide you give in the Putra Plus is different from the slide you present today. It's quite different.
Memang different pun sebab saya banyak tambah.
Okay.
Okay, it's okay. Then I will just share in our group WhatsApp lah. Okay, because I thought during the presentation pun I add few more points, so I will share the latest one in our group. Okay, so I thought that's all I could for today. Ni takut banyak sangat nanti you all lupa juga. Okay, so we stop here. At least somebody remind me that we stop here. InsyaAllah before we proceed to the next topic next week. Then we finish this first lah. Okay, share terus. Kurang ke mana ni? Okay, please mark your attendance through Putra Blast so jangan ada yang tertinggal lagi. Okay, so I thought that all for today. So thank you and stay safe everyone. So assalamualaikum until we meet again next week lah. So assalamualaikum guys, bye.
Salam, thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Salam.
Thank you, Doktor.
Thank you, Doktor.